Poetic analysis of the poem The Broken Pot. Biographical notes on the poet. Ositadimma Amakeze is a renowned artist and a poet who, in quest for knowledge, has written many books both in English language and in Igbo language. Among the books written is Medley of the Muse, which is sequel to his first poetry anthology, Analyses and Business of the Muse. His fascination with mobile photography and how he keeps time in motion or motionless in pictures inspired this poetry. Ositadimma is also a Catholic priest of Oka Diocese, the founder of Young Women and Men Creative Association, Yowanka, and a native of Nimo in Anambra State. Background of the poem. This is a poem that showcases itself as a broken pot, but never accepts defeat. Thus was proud of itself and recalled the battle it withstood. In the first line, the poet made it crystal clear that the pot was broken, but was not rejected. It showcased the human cycle of birth and death, and the satisfaction that in returning to its original form, it transited into greater glory, where death will not conquer it again. Deep and analysis of the poem. Ode is a poem addressed to a person, an object, or something, and it's fairly long. This poem is an ode because it addresses the broken pot. Ode is by nature meditative, philosophical, elaborate, and often more complicated than most other lyrics form. This pot is not being a disconsolate broken pot. Rather, people only see the scars which blinded it from the strength that holds it from being shattered or destroyed completely. The pot goes on boosting its ego, how it withstood all battles and still survived it. The poet also claims that it has gone back to the unstuffed of sands and compares itself to grains of wheat ground and leavened to bake for the living. It finally maintained that it's in a better place, very strong than ever before, and boasted of a most glorious transition. Poetic devices used. Diction. The general language of the poem is direct, precise, exact, and simple, though few words are a bit difficult for an average reader. Example: unstuffed and grandiose. Similar, it compares itself to grains of wheat in lines 10. Personification. Attributes of human being are being given to non-human being here in lines 9. I've gone back to the unstuffed of all sands. Hyperbole. This figure is exemplified in even more glorious than then, in brackets, line 15. Irony. It is ironical that the broken pot claims not to be disconsolate in the first line, more so in the 12th line, pretends to be in those grand pillars of palaces. Consonants. There is a repetition of similar consonant sounds in the middle and end of the poem. Examples are s, as in see, these, scarce, and strength, and also the sound ru, as in all and wall. End rhyme and repetition. The uses of these two literary devices are emphasis that some words are being repeated. This repetition made the lines musical and rhythmical. Examples are all in all, on stuff of all, upon the wall, scarce, and stand. Structure. The poem consists of only one stanza and 16 lines, that flow like a gentle river, continuously with an end rhyme, as in lines 4, 9, and 13. Tune and mood. The poet's attitude in this poem is that of usage of words that are being concluded in the hyperbole. There is a general tone of pride, self-esteem, exaggeration, pomposity, and boasting in almost all the lines of the poem. The mood of the poet is that of satisfaction and contentment. Didactic poem. In addition, it is a didactic poem because it teaches moral. Thus, it traces the reality of life after death and the benefits of living out our faith to the end.
The poem Dead Bird. Theme and analysis of the poem. In the same vein, the poem is also written by Ositadimma Amakeze, a great artist and poet. It is a lyric poem of lamentation and mourning called elegy or dirge. The poem has 3 verses because it has no definite rhyme pattern and no measurement of meter. The poet highlighted how surprised he was to see his dead bird and sadly explained that if no one else cares, that he himself is going to mourn his dead bird in lines 1 and 2. And in lines 3 and 4, the poet still wonders if the bird is tired of tweeting and flying, it should go to its nest to rest instead of lying in an icy field. In lines 7 and 8, it was clearly stated that the bird is dead. Though you flee away your course when you are alive, I have made this green bird and preened you myself. Now that the poet, having been convinced, as he wanders in silence, has no doubt to quote his impromptu oration that the poet, his bird, is the cutest far-off companion he admired, he finally eulogized and said goodbye to his dead bird. Poetic devices used. Alliteration. There is a repetition of the first consonant sounds in line 5. Examples are sing, some, sweet, song, and song. Irony. There was a deliberate saying of the opposite of what you really have in mind. Line 6 reflected that. Just resting in peace here in an icy field. Euphemism is saying an unpleasant thing in a pleasant way. Example, to help your helplessness in a poetic apotheosis, line 9. Diction. The language of the poem is very simple, direct, and clear. Imagery. Imagery makes a thought or an expression clearer and more memorable. The poet portrays the picture of the dead bird, which should also remain in the mind of the reader. Also, reminding the reader how bad we feel when we lose a loved one. Symbolism. This refers to the use of systems or objects to represent real things or feelings in such symbols. The poet made use of this figure of speech. I have made this green bird and preened you myself. This has already created in the mind of the reader that the bird is already laid in state and also being buried. Structure. The poem has only one stanza with 14 lines and with no definite rhyme pattern and no measurement of meter. Didactic poem. It is also a didactic poem that deployed the omniscient nature of God, that death is inevitable and can come by sudden and unknowingly at any time. As such, one needs to be prepared both spiritually and otherwise. Mood and tune. The poem is in a mournful mood, full of lamentations, sadness, and expressed grief all through. The tune is that of regret and sorrow. Thank you for listening.